अफलाकाङ्क्षिभिर्यज्ञः विधिदृष्टो य युज्यते यष्टव्यमेवेति मनः समाधाय स सात्विकः.
That yajna sacrifice is sattvic, which is in accordance with scriptural ordinance, performed by those desiring no fruit, with the mind convinced that sacrifice alone ought to be performed. What a fantastic definition of sattvic yajna. Now, with this verse, we go to the next topic, which deals with sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic yajna, verses 11 to 13. Now, before we go into what sattvic yajna is, let's take a look at our actions. Actions per se fall under three categories. These three categories are actions prompted by selfish desires, second, actions prompted by unselfish desires, and the third, actions that are not driven by any desire. So let's take a look at these three. The first category, we don't need any introduction because we are all experts at it. We perform actions only because there is a selfish desire motivating it. If there is no selfish return to us, we are not interested in the activity. It's all about I, me, mine. What's in it for me? What do I gain as a result of that? Nobody ever thinks that through this activity, what can I contribute to society? When you meet someone, when you fix an appointment to meet someone, it is always because you have an agenda. You want something out of that meeting. How many of us go to a meeting where you don't want anything out of it? Expecting no fruit, desiring no fruit. Then why are you doing it? Because you have a desire to contribute to the other person. The moment you have an unselfish desire, my God, your entire life changes. Take examples. Right, very recently what made the news was a 1 lakh car, right? And who's the driving force behind it? Mr. Ratan Tata. When he embarked on this project, his agenda was not to make more money for himself. He himself says, how did he think of this 1 lakh car? He says, I saw a two-wheeler in which the husband, wife, and 2 children were precariously balanced on it. And I said, why can't we make a car that these 4 can go in? Why do they have to struggle in a two-wheeler? That thought, just that one thought of benefiting somebody other than himself made him achieve the impossible. Remember one thing, American auto giants, the Japanese car manufacturers, all of them were competing with each other, vying to produce the cheapest car possible, and they could not achieve it. Who achieved it? An Indian. And he got the nickname of the Ford of Asia. Just that one thought. And this capacity to think of contributing, just think, friends, you don't need to contribute anything. You don't need to give anything. Just think. That thought doesn't occur to us. It's all about me. How much more can I grab? How can I upgrade my home, my car, my handbag, my clothes, everything you want to upgrade about yourself except yourself. And not a thought to anybody else. How often do we think of contributing to people? If one action you perform in a day which is not based on personal return whatsoever, no return to you, you just want to give of your best for the benefit of someone else, your life will change. And the third is, this itself is highly elevating. Action performed with an unselfish desire. But the third, selfless, is where the action is not prompted by desire at all. Then how will you perform action? Because all actions are driven by a desire. So how do you explain this? If you don't have a desire, how can you perform that action? Because you're driven by a desire to get to the state of self-realization. You're driven by a desire to break free from the bondage that you have been put into. You have a desire to go back to the first story that we began with. When you're put into a prisoner is from start to finish focused on how to get out of that prison. And therefore, with reference to the activities in the prison, with reference to the life in the prison, he has no interest whatsoever, no desire. And yet, because as long as he's in the prison, he has to do something, whatever he does is par excellence. In fact, it is selfishness, it is desire that takes away from the quality of the action. And that is why all of us perform stupid actions where you make a mistake somewhere or the other, you forget something or the other, and then you're filled with remorse. How could I have made such a mistake? You want to perform perfect actions, you have to get to the state of no desires. And so you have no desire for the world, but as long as you are alive, you have to act. How will you act? Yashtavyam. Yashtavyam is because you feel you ought to do it. So, non-yajna activities on the other hand, why is it that we say only when you perform sacrificial activities, unselfish activities or selfless activities, you succeed? Because when you perform non-yajna activities, non-sacrificial activities, if you are engaged in selfishness, what happens is you are filled with worry and anxiety. You're worried over the past failures, you're anxious for the future. And because your mind is constantly flitting to the past and the future, there is no concentration on the present. When you're not concentrating on the present, what you meet with is failure. And you are so drained of energy because your mind is working on overdrive going to the past and future, you are tired. Take the example of a lady who's otherwise quite good at managing her home and is an excellent cook. But she invites 5 people to dinner, just 5. And she gets into a state. Why? Because she wants to impress them. Desire. She wants them to compliment her, to speak good of her. So just that one desire messes up everything. So when she's cooking, otherwise she would have cooked effortlessly. If she was cooking only for her husband and children, she would have cooked effortlessly. But now, because she is consumed with this desire to impress her guests, while cooking, her mind is not on the present. Her mind is shifted to the past. Oh, last time when I entertained, I burnt the food. I hope I don't do it this time. Anxiety for the future. I hope they like what I'm cooking. And because of this worry of the past and anxiety for the future, she's not concentrating on the present. So what she does is puts extra salt in one dish, burns the second dish, third dish, something else goes wrong, is uncooked. So as a result, a simple meal she goes and messes up. And she's drained of energy. Before the guests come, she's already tired. You're distracted, inconsistent, stressed out, and at the end of the day, you're a failure. So this is your condition. Whereas, when you perform unselfish activities or selfless activities, that unselfishness is driven by an irresistible desire, urge to pay back to society. You are deeply conscious of the fact that you owe it to society. You owe it to the country. You owe it to nature. You're deeply aware of all that you have received in life, tangible and intangible. And so you owe it, and you're also aware that you are talented in that particular field. For instance, let's take a musician. How many of us have, you may be interested in music, you may want to sing, how many of us are talented in music? And where has that talent come from? If you had not been gifted with this ability to sing, you would be sitting braying. Nobody would listen to you. And so very few people in the world are talented. You happen to be one such person who is talented in a given field. Redeploy that, give it back to society. It's not yours anyway. Yashtavya. You're acutely aware that you have taken from society and so therefore you want to give back. You're acutely aware that you have a talent and you offer that talent as your thanksgiving and life becomes wonderful. So when you perform Sattvic Yajna, you are lifted out of anonymity and you become a celebrity. Just take a look at what's happened. Take a look at cricketers, take a look at tennis players, take a look at musicians, take a look at artists. The fact of the matter is the world is waiting for people with talent. And the world will always reward talent. So you don't have to go searching for success. All you have to do is invest your time and effort at cultivating your talent. Invest your time and effort at cultivating the right attitude. Attitude of payback, attitude of gratitude. Once you have these two in place, the rest is assured. You move from being a failure to an outstanding success. You move from mediocrity to excellence. And you shift from being an ordinary person to an extraordinary specimen of humanity. All this is well within your reach. All you have to do is what? Think of giving instead of thinking of taking, grabbing all the time. This is Sattvic Yajna. And in the 3rd chapter of the Gita, Krishna, you see Arjuna, this is the whole thing. Arjuna is a highly talented warrior. He's well trained. He is the commander-in-chief of the Pandava forces. And he is the crucial person there who can assure success to the Pandavas and protect society from the evil people. And yet, at the 0 hour when he's faced with the battle of his life, he looks at the entire scenario from a personal standpoint. What will happen to me, Krishna? If I die, who will light my funeral pyre? Absurd reasonings he comes up with. Ridiculous fears. And this is what happens to all of us. Each one of us is more than qualified to occupy the position we're occupying. And yet, when you're faced with a challenge, you crumble. You fall apart. And that's what Arjuna said. He laid down his bow and arrow and said, Krishna, I will not fight. And in the 3rd chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna, you are placed in this wonderful position where you can perform yajna, O Arjuna. For non-yajna activities, you will not benefit you. And then he says, when the sahayajna prajasruštva purovacha prajapatihi anena prasavishyadvam esha vostvishta kamatho. When Prajapati, the creator, created the human beings, he created the human being, sahayajna, along with the capacity to sacrifice, which is an extraordinary gift that only you and I have. No dog has it, no whale has it, no lion has it. The only species in the world that has the capacity to sacrifice is the human being. And then he says, with this may you prosper. Now when he says, with yajna may you prosper, we don't understand. Our intellects are too dull, we don't get it. What he means is, without yajna, it is impossible to prosper. And all of us are trying to prosper through selfishness. How can that happen? And that is why we are stressed out. When we don't achieve what we want, we fall apart. All you have to do is continue doing. You see, yajna doesn't mean that you have to change your activity. Continue doing what you're doing. Just infuse your mind with the thought of giving, sacrifice. So if you're a doctor, continue to practice medicine. If you're an engineer, continue to do your engineering job. If you're a musician, continue to sing. but just inject this thought of sacrifice in your normal everyday activities, which is think through this talent of mine, how can I make life better for the other person? If only a doctor, but every time he sees a patient, he thinks, how can I use my medical knowledge to alleviate the suffering of the patient? My God, he'll be an outstanding doctor. If every time a musician performs, he says, let me dedicate this performance to that power that has given me this talent in the first place. Oh, he'll move his audiences. He'll become a world celebrity. Why it is not happening in our lives, and why is it that we're leading mediocre, ordinary lives, is because we haven't infused, we haven't injected this spirit of sacrifice and service into our lives. Do that and see what happens to your careers. If you don't believe me, just try it. All your life you've led a certain life, and this is where you are. I don't mean you are not doing well, I'm sure you're doing well. But infuse the thought of yajna in your minds and see what a difference it makes. Next verse.